All right. Well, like I said, I'm really grateful that you're watching this, whether you're catching me live or on the replay. I wanted to take a few minutes tonight to show you something else with that butterfly suite that we worked with last week. And if you don't remember or didn't see, this is what I made last week. So we used our blender brushes and the Butterfly Brilliance stamp set. That's just one background stamp. And then just some other fun little tricks and things to make this beautiful card. So this week we are going to do just a little bit simpler as far as technique, but I wanted to do a fun fold. And so this is called a flap fold card, and just a little bit different, makes it kind of fun to receive and open. So first, what I want to show you is the dies that come with this suite are incredible. So this one, this is just a sheet of the Butterfly Bijou paper, and it is so beautiful, whether you're using the butterflies or not. And this is one of the dies that comes in the die set. And so this actually will cut out all of these butterflies in one pass through your die cutter. And so that makes it really easy just to have some different pieces and different colors to work with. And then the other dies that are in it, there are these really just elegant detailed die cuts, and I cut out a couple of those just to show you. So I did this one in Vellum, and I think Vellum is just gorgeous. It adds a really subtle touch to your pieces, and there is actually a little bit of Vellum in the card that we'll make today. And then I did this one, and this is a really different look, but you get that delicate die cut, and then this black piece from the back is actually just this shape. I just, used some cardstock underneath just that section and cut that out, and I think this will make a really fun card too when I get back to this piece. So there are those, and then it also comes with these two plain little butterflies, which we'll use tonight. And then these three pieces, this is the kind of thing that I look at and I absolutely never know what to do with them. So what I like to do is just find a scrap piece of paper and cut out the pieces to see what they do. So this would be a really nice overlay to a different background, that it's kind of a brick look. And then I didn't get to that piece, but I think that just will add some nice texture to any cardstock. So that's just kind of a look at the dies themselves. And then, okay, I think that's all that I wanted to show you. So let's get started. Now, all of the measurements are in the description of this video, which is good because I'm not going to be able to remember exactly what they are. But I do have all of our pieces ready, and the DSP from the Butterfly Bijou that we're going to use tonight is this and then this. And on the background, again, you have all the butterfly images, but these are just really, really pretty colors and not something that will detract from your focal image. So I started with Bermuda Bay cardstock here, and it is, so it's 7 1/4 by 5 1/2, and then it's scored at 4 right here. And because this is a fun fold and it's a little bit different, you do just want to make sure that you really give that a good crease with your bone folder. And then the next piece is actually, let's see, I'm just going to get over here and look so that I don't tell you the wrong things. So it's 2 3/4 by 4 1/4, and then it's scored at a 1/2 inch right here. And so this is what creates the flap that folds across the front. So again, we just want to really make sure that that's creased well. And then I really prefer using my liquid Tombow glue for this kind of thing. I just think you get the best hold and Seal Plus works well, and the tear and tape, depending on what you're doing, also works pretty well, but I think the liquid glue is always around and always easy to use. So you're just going to center this on the inside of the card. And I do have to tell you, I got the inspiration for this card from another demonstrator. Her name is Kelly Pitts, and she is in Lubbock, Texas, which is my hometown. And I just thought that the fold was really fun. So you do want this to just be even right here. So we're going to leave that for a minute to dry. Actually, I do need that. So anyway, I appreciate her inspiration, and her card actually was very, very different from this. Just, you know, by nature of different styles and techniques. So I've taken a piece of Pool Party that's 4 by 5 1/4. And what I want to do with this, so I just laid it in here to kind of get an idea of where it's going to sit. And then I'm just going to really lightly mark with pencil where those edges are. So now I'm going to take this Greenery embossing folder, and it's just a normal embossing folder. It's not one of the dynamic folders. And, oh, Susan, thank you for sharing. That's actually my mom. Really appreciate the shares. That helps me get more views so that more people start coming to my page, and that really helps me a lot. So thank you. All right, so I am just lining up the very edge of the embossed image here with those pencil marks, because I don't really need the embossing inside the card where I want to be able to write a message, but I do want it to show up on the outside of the card. So I'm just going to run this through my Big Shot quickly. All right, so now what we have is this, and for some reason the bottom didn't exactly go, but we are just going to roll with it and call it good. It's when you use this folder with the Big Shot that I have, it just barely ran through, so you have to be very careful with where your edges are so that your machine doesn't crinkle your paper over there. So before I adhere this, I'm going to go ahead and stamp the inside sentiment, and it is just going to be in Bermuda Bay Ink. And the sentiment, the stamps are from Massive Thanks, and so the inside sentiment says it's a hug with a fold in the middle. So go right there. Hopefully I'm straight. I got a lot of halo, which is a little bit tiresome, but you can actually take one of these sand erasers and just clean that off, or you can get a new sheet and start again. So we are going to call that good. And I also want to erase my little pencil marks now. There we go. And we'll go ahead and stick this inside the card. And again, just a little bit of glue to adhere this. Okay. And just centered in this panel. There we go. And now we'll go ahead and adhere our designer series paper as well. So this panel is 2.5 by 5 1/4. So it will go on the larger here. And I do just want to line up the inside and outside edges, which doesn't really matter, but when you're particular about things, you notice. So then I'm going to go ahead and do this as well, and this goes on the flap section. And this paper was nice too because it didn't have an orientation. So I didn't have to pay quite as much attention when I was cutting it as you do with some paper. All right, so I think that is how I want that. I've already cut from the Stitched So Sweetly dies a vellum piece here, and then this is where I'm going to stamp my sentiment. And again, it's from Massive Thanks. This isn't just a thank you card. And we'll go like that. Okay, not perfect, but we're gonna, again, take it. And then the way I like to adhere to vellum, because if you put glue on it, it does show, and that, you know, it gets a little wrinkly, it's kind of delicate. So I'm gonna go ahead and use my seal. And this will just roll just like that. And then I'll go ahead and center it on the vellum piece. There we go. And then I'll flip it back over, and again, I'm just going to run seal, but I want to make sure that it's only under the white part so that it won't show through when the card is finished. So now I'm going to center this here. Perhaps. Seal is also really nice because it does still give you a little bit of wiggling so that you can get placement just right. All right, this is driving me crazy. It's not perfectly straight. So I'm just going to crease that again to make sure that it sits better. Okay, so now we have this. I had already cut out some of these butterflies, and I used different ones for the first card. So this card will turn out a little bit differently because we're going to use slightly different colors and sizes. For this one, I wonder... That is pretty. This down here might be nice. Or we could go just, I think we're going to go blue. So as I'm doing this, I do want to make sure that I get the adhesive only on this piece so that it doesn't seal the card closed entirely. So again, I'm just going to use some seal. So we'll go like that. And then this yellow one, there's really only a very little bit that's hanging over. Okay. So now I can't remember how I had it oriented, but I think that looks pretty good. So we'll go ahead and get those set down. Now, something else that I did, this little piece was die cut from the Potted Succulents dies, and the die just looks like this, but I just think that it's a really pretty accent piece without taking too much attention from the butterflies and the other colors. So I'm just going to use a couple of glue dots, and I don't know if everyone is subscribed to Paper Pumpkin, but if you're not, it's a wonderful monthly kit, and it just has everything in it that you need to make cards usually, but sometimes it's more like boxes for treats, that kind of thing. And so they include these sheets of glue dots, which are great. And I always seem to have tons of them sitting around because they give you a lot more than you'll ever really need for your projects. So what I'm going to do now is just kind of lift up the edge of my vellum and slide this under here. There we go. Okay. And then I've got, I wonder, kind of like that, especially since I stamped that sentiment a little bit lower on this die cut. So I think I'll go ahead and do that there. All right. Okay, so that's that. Now I've got these cute little butterflies that I had die cut earlier from the set as well. And I just thought that on my first card, this panel needed a little dressing up, but I also didn't want it to show from the front of the card. So I think this will still work there, but what I want to do is take my Wink of Stella. So this is just the clear Wink of Stella. It's great to add a little bit of fun to elements without being too big and flashy. So I'm just going to paint the whole thing here. And you can squeeze the barrel to get more, but when you do that, you need to be very careful, because I've definitely gotten kind of gushes of the liquid onto projects before, and that looks a little less than desirable depending on what you're working on. So I'm gonna let these sit and dry for a second here. And I've got this butterfly to use on something else, so I'll put that to the side. And while I'm waiting for those to dry, I'm gonna go ahead and take out my Artistry Blooms Sequins, and we'll just add these to the front of the card here. And again, even though I'm doing the same design and the same basic concepts, this card is going to end up looking quite a bit different from the first card that I showed you. And I think that's really fun. So we'll just add a few things here. And I think I told you last week, but I always like to go in odd numbers as far as how many, whether it's sequins or pearls or rhinestones, whatever it is, just because I think that that makes it turn out a little more pleasingly as far as how it looks. And let's see, maybe one more right up there. Okay, so I think that my little butterflies are dry now, so I'm going to flip them over, and it really doesn't take much to stick these down, but I am going to go ahead and use a couple of glue dots on each of them. So once we get these done, we'll be just about finished, and you'll have a really nice, fun thank you card to send out. And I do try to really make cards that are going to be useful. There are a lot of products that I think are beautiful and fun to play with, and for the most part, I try to turn them into either thank you or birthday cards, or packaging, just because that seems to be what I send the most. So what about you? What are your favorite sentiments to send? All right. Well, thank you. I'm glad that you enjoyed this, and I think that's really it. So I hope you like this, and if you make this layout, I would love to see what you come up with. And please share this, and hope that you have a wonderful night. Thank you so much for joining me.